Data exploration and cleaning takes up at least half the effort of any meaty data analysis or modeling project. Here, for example, we have data of 1.6 million fundraising constituent records. It's important to be able to see quickly what's in a particular field. So if I open up constituent type, I can quickly make a frequency table and see the 1.6 million records and that there are 3 categories in that particular variable. That's helpful to know. If there were some things in there that didn't look like a constituent type, we'd want to know that and go back and maybe fix the data, thinking that it was perhaps not correct. For fundraising clients, what we do is we help them build models to help them focus their efforts on the right people. Who are the folks who are going to give them money? The data are often messy. Sometimes we even get a file with non-unique IDs. So we can check that by dragging the unique ID variable into the frequency table and have it compute, which is pretty quickly for 1.6 million records. What we do to see if in fact there's a unique number of, if each of the IDs are unique, is we look at the total number of cases and make sure it equals the total number of categories. If it does, we know that we have a unique, that each record has a unique ID. We also might want to scroll from the top to the bottom and look and see if there are any strange strings in this particular variable, and we don't see that, so we're feeling pretty good about unique ID. But now, when you do this kind of analysis, you want to look at as many variables as possible, and the drag and drop tools of Datadesk make that really easy to do. So let's look at prefix. What's in prefix? I drop it in, it computes. I say I have a lot of these kind of strange strings in here. I may need to go back and clean some of that data, but I want to know is like what are the main prefix categories. So we'll sort by count. And boom, and we can see we have Mr., Mrs., Dr., Ms., the types of prefixes we'd expect. But right away, what hits us is that there are multiple representations of, for example, Mr. and Mrs., some with periods, some without. And that tells us that the original data file really wasn't super clean, and maybe we want to go back into that data file, that database, and clean that up and enforce some standards so that we don't see this happening in the future. Right? But what's really, really powerful about Datadesk is we can see this quickly and then go back into the database and make those corrections. So let's maybe look at date of birth, for example. I drop that in. I notice that 5.5% of this database has people with a birth date of January 1, 1900. I don't believe it. These folks are all supposed to be alive. That probably indicates that this is some kind of a proxy for something else, maybe even a missing value. Again, we go back to the client and ask them that question. We also see that there's a lot of 1/1 January 1st dates for other years. Again, probably a proxy for, boy, we didn't know that we only knew the birth year, not the birth date. Again, we go back to the client and understand that so we know what we're doing when we're building the models. Right? So I think the lesson here is if you're going to do analysis of messy data, and pretty much anything that's been collected by human beings is going to be messy, look at the data first. Datadesk frequency tables really lets you do that very quickly with its drag and drop, and then you know you have some good data before you actually go in and start doing your modeling.